Sangu opens his eyes after blacking out and sees a gaping hole in his apartment. He is left paralyzed in fear as he witnesses hordes of monsters pouring out of the portals that subsequently spawn next to his apartment. He sees a monster charging up for an attack that's aimed straight at his apartment and finally comes to his senses. But the attack still lands. He screams out for his members, but they are still on the ground, unresponsive. He sees that although the attack did indeed make contact, one of his clones shielded the whole family from the blast, saving the family, but dying in the process. He notes that one of his two remaining clones is severely injured, stating how he is very much lacking in manpower. Sangu's family slowly come to their senses, and Sangu orders them all to pack and get ready to go to the emergency shelter. The carnage outside is atrocious, with monsters killing everyone on the street. They make their way down to their car to reach the shelters, but they find that the monsters devastated everything, and being a 2-kilometer trip to the shelter, they don't have any other choice but to go through the underground tunnels located under their apartments. On their way, they see a person underneath some rubble, caused by a D-class monster called a troll. He is seen screaming for help, and when Sangu and his dad see this, his dad rationalizes with Sangu, saying that they have to worry about themselves, and that they are in no situation where they can help someone else. But Sangu can't just stand there and watch a person get killed, so he tells one of his clones to protect the family and orders his family to go to the shelters without him. With the obligation of being a hunter, he takes one of his clones with him and goes to rescue the man. As he is engaging with the troll, an ominous-looking monster is portrayed looking at Sangu fighting, mimicking the way he talks. The scene shifts back to Sangu fighting the troll with a baseball bat, and he orders his clone to use the newly acquired short sword along with the cursed jewel. The clone ingests the cursed jewel, and much to Sangu's surprise and Kang's warning, the clone turns into a monster. Sangu was startled so much at this sight that he even questions if he's still on his side. The clone's stats increase and Sangu also gets those stat benefits, but luckily for him, he doesn't turn into a monster himself. The fight continues, and the monster clone inflicts a lot of damage. But unfortunately, the troll has a very powerful regen ability, and no matter how much damage Sangu and his clones do, the troll always recovers. But Sangu has a plan. He orders his clone to cut the troll's legs as to make him fall over, and once the troll fell, Sangu shot it in the eye, impairing its vision. Once the troll had lost its sight, he uses his newly acquired strike skill and his baseball bat to blow the troll's head off. The plan works, and they defeat the troll. Sangu celebrates and even cracks jokes, but after he looks around the devastated town, he is quickly brought back to reality. The scene shifts over to the hunters of the Red Fire Guild, the rank 9 guild in Korea, and the Scorpion Guild, the 7th ranked guild in Korea. They are seen fighting off the monster Swan, but are treating it more of a cash grab rather than earnestly wanting to help the people. A military aircraft is seen dropping off Park One-Tai, our favorite character. He is seen ordering his men to evacuate the survivors since the other guilds are prioritizing getting loot that the monsters drop. He is disgusted by the greedy guilds and takes it upon himself to personally help the remaining survivors. He subsequently sees Sangu and his clone fighting off the hordes of monsters, coming at a group of civilians. They are enduring well, but Sangu is quickly losing energy and exhausted himself greatly. A bird-like monster is seen hurling an attack at the citizens, and Sangu's remaining clone ends up sacrificing itself to protect them. But just as Sangu is about to get attacked by the monster as well, a massive tiger monster kills it. The tiger monster is dead set on killing Sangu, and Sangu sits defeated, ready to die. But just as he is about to get murdered, Park One-Tai steps in and kills the monster in one strike, decapitating it, showing the sheer difference in strength between Sangu and a top-level hunter. The scene shifts again to the shelters where Sangu's mom, dad, sister, and clone are. Sangu's sister screams at his clone to let go of her and expresses her concerns for Sangu's safety. But being ordered by Sangu, the clone won't let her go. Her dad calms her down, and the situation settles. But just as the concerns subsided, a voice came from outside the shelter door, banging on the door and pleading for the people in the shelter to let them in. The people in the shelter converse amongst themselves and come to a consensus that the person behind the door must not know the password. Using a camera, they see a silhouette of a person behind the door, and Sangu's sister thinks it's Sangu. She is excited to see her brother safe and opens the shelter door. But what she sees next is traumatizing. The monster mentioned earlier is seen using a dead body as a puppet, effectively tricking everyone into dying. The monster is seen airily thanking Sangu's sister for letting it in, and the panel turns black. The people at the shelter are seen running away in fear, and Sangu's clone attacks the monster, only to have his dagger break on impact. The monster, with its sharp, knife-like appendage, stabs through the clone, and sadly, hits Sangu's sister as well. Emergency protocol kicks in, and the shelter's doors begin to close. Sangu's clone sees this, and throws itself at the monster through the door, sacrificing itself. The scene shifts back to Park Won-tae and Sangu. Sangu is in shock seeing how strong this person was, but Park extends his hand and helps him on his feet. They converse a little, and Park is really impressed with Sangu. And he asks what his skill is. But right when Sangu was about to tell him, he senses the link with his remaining clone being severed, and immediately goes over to the shelter, having no other choice but to wield the cursed short sword. Sangu's sister lays dying on the floor of the shelter, and his parents cry and plead for somebody to help them. The monster tears the door open, and the survivors all lose hope. But just when it was about to attack, Sangu comes out of nowhere to rescue them. He sees his sister dying on the shelter floor, and he goes crazy. With the fuel at the side of his sister, and the curse of the short sword, he transforms into a monster himself, and starts to attack the monster. He sustains substantial wounds, but manages to fight it off long enough for Park Won-tae and his rescue squad to come help. The healer sees Sangu, and exclaims how he's in critical condition. But even through the pain, Sangu pleads for them to save his sister first. Park Won-tae faces the monster, and Sangu, due to losing too much blood, loses consciousness.